Good morning, good morning. It is Monday, the 16th of September 2024. Welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I hope you're all feeling well this morning. We've got David in the chat, we've got Plum Duff, we've got Johan, we've got Gallifreyan Ven, we've got Vendetta, we've got Brian Ferguson, Mike Higgins, and Simon Smith. Hello, everyone. And others. Diz is in there as well. We've got Steve's Retro Loft. We've got Glenn McCullough. You'd think MAGA gun nuts would have better aim. Well, this is the thing that I want to talk about, which is that it's interesting that the suspect has been apprehended for this assassination attempt and second assassination attempt in just 2 months on Donald Trump, presidential candidate and likely winner of the next, well, not winner, but likely next president. Both of the people, this guy, he voted for Trump in 2016. I think that's really pertinent because Trump has a habit of attracting what we can possibly, loosely refer to as the crazies. But here's the thing. You can't control crazy. And it's great when they're all praising your name and singing songs about you and thinking that you're wonderful. But once you make those people feel betrayed, then they'll come for you. And this is what's happening with Trump. I know the first guy, the kid who attempted to assassinate Trump just a couple of months ago, I know that I don't think he'd even voted before, maybe. And he wasn't a massive Trump fanatic. He wasn't a massive Biden or Harris fanatic either. He was simply someone who wanted to be famous, I guess, for doing something horrible. But this guy, this new guy, it looks like he has planned this for a long time. He wants to take out Trump because of Trump's stance on Ukraine, which is to let Russia just go in and do whatever it wants to Ukraine because Trump is so far up Vladimir Putin's arse, he can see the future. Graham, have you seen the 2022 video of him talking about Ukraine? No, I haven't. Not yet. Stephanie says, am I the only one who noticed the felons assassins were MAGA or MAGA light and very pure shots? That doesn't surprise me. I don't think there's any conspiracy here. Let me just put my cards on the table. I'm not I'm not really big into conspiracies. I think there's enough conspiracies going on in plain sight to do with the Murdoch Empire and what the Russians are doing and things like that no one seems to care about. But I'm pretty sure that if George Soros was funding hard left websites and YouTube channels that were calling for the death penalty for people who break the law of the environment or something, there'd be a lot more made of it than has been made about the Russians literally funding tenant media in America, but also, the Russians interfering in our government and our elections and our referendums. Well, at least one referendum. No, two referendums. We know that they interfered in the Scottish referendum as well. And the government told the security services to do nothing about it. So there's a conspiracy in plain sight. No, I don't think that these people were necessarily not MAGA. I think they probably were MAGA for the reason of this, right? Gandhi wasn't shot by a Hindu. By a Hindu. He wasn't shot by a Muslim. This is after partition had caused 1 million people to die as a result of the British pulling out of India overnight, pretty much. There was supposed to be a transition period of several years, but in the end it got compressed to 6 months. Sound familiar? And Mountbatten was the Governor General, I think, of India at the time. But Gandhi wasn't shot by a Muslim. He was shot by a Hindu. Yitzhak Rabin, the Israeli prime minister in the mid-90s, he wasn't shot dead by a Palestinian, by someone from Gaza. No, he was shot dead by a Jewish person who thought that he wasn't extreme enough. This is the thing. A lot of these, people will end up being shot by their own people. Not necessarily that, Gandhi attracted the wrong crowd or anything. I'm just saying, it's not that out of the realm of feasibility that if someone does attempt to assassinate Trump, they're going to be MAGA. In fact, I think they're more likely than not to be MAGA. And that might be a little bit, it goes against the whole conspiracy thing of obviously he was paid to do this to make Trump look good. I don't see that, because don't forget as well, quite shockingly, probably even more shocking than the assassination attempt in the first place. The first assassination attempt, back in June, or was it July? Back in July. My God, 2 months ago. Back in July, that first attempt was, done by someone who didn't seem to be too political or into politics. They just wanted to, because they had a list of other people that they could shoot. It's just whichever famous person next came near them, they would take them out. And this is another point I was going to make. Like, it's not just enough that there's a lot of crazy people in America. There's a lot of crazy people in every country. The difference is, every crazy person in America can buy a gun. And so this is what my proposition is for you this morning. I don't think that Trump is ever going to be able to feel safe again for the rest of his life if he continues to be in politics. If I was him, God, thank God I'm not, I'd just cut my losses and leave, and drop out and just go back to playing golf, because then no one's going to shoot you, because no one's going to care. But if he continues on this path, this is what's going to happen again and again. And at some point, someone's going to be successful. You can't be everywhere all at once, especially with a president who doesn't like to do what he's told and likes to, defy the Secret Service detail that's been put on him. So yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think it was all part of a ploy to make Trump more popular. What I was going to say is, one of the things that was quite shocking about the fact that he got shot, the shots fired, someone died. You know what I mean? That's why I don't think it was a conspiracy. I mean, yeah. But the fact that it was just superseded so quickly by Kamala Harris taking over as the candidate for the Democrats, and then the Democratic National Convention just took over the whole media cycle. It was over within a few days. The fact that there'd been an assassination attempt on Trump, and I think this is going to be over within a day this time, because it's not even like it's like old news. It's like didn't that already happen? No, it's happened again. Oh, okay then. Like, no one really cares that much, which is a bit disturbing in itself, and it's just quite emblematic of this day and age. But yeah, it's not looking good for Trump long term if people are going to continue to take pops at him. And it's people who are possibly MAGA and feel aggrieved at him. And this is what happens when you set yourself up as some kind of latter-day messiah who's come down to, save the world from whatever, and you don't deliver. And one thing that Trump didn't do when he was in office was deliver. He didn't deliver anything. He was like the Tories, I guess, in this country. He didn't build a wall from coast to shining coast across the border with Mexico. He didn't get rid of all the illegal immigrants. He didn't get rid of all the Muslims in the country. He didn't get rid of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. He didn't really do anything in his term except give massive tax cuts to the rich. It didn't help ordinary people. Unemployment went down under his presidency. The average cost of living went up for people. It wasn't a great time, really. He mishandled the COVID pandemic so badly that 500,000 Americans died. I mean, come on. Anyway, I'll just jump into the chat. Tell my girlfriend, pulling out kills millions. Time Traveller, I hope you're right. What's that? I told a Nigerian guy a few years back, this is from Captain Bart Roberts, he'd been sharing conspiracy theories on my Facebook page. Told him about all the shit done in plain sight. He was amazed. Nice lad. Or nice LSD, maybe. Yeah, I mean, this stuff goes on in plain sight. I don't need to create more conspiracies than there already are, because there's already a shitload of them. Which they just do. I mean, they just do it. They don't care about the consequences. They don't care about, jail. Oh, that was something else I was going to say. I think Trump would have dropped out by now, because he's behind in the polls. I do believe that he probably has PTSD from the first time someone tried to shoot him. Now it's going to make it even worse. Like I say, if I was him, I'd just cut my losses. But this is the thing. if he doesn't win this election, or if he's not the next president, I don't think he's going to win the election. Cards on the table. I think he's going to lose to Harris, but I think that he's still going to become the next president because he's got the Supreme Court in his pocket, and they're the only 9 votes that count, and he can count on 6 of them, which is the majority of those 9 votes. Anyway, yeah, other than that, if he doesn't become president, he goes to jail, which is, in a way, I think, they haven't brought all these charges against him. First of all, he wouldn't been able to use them to supercharge his campaign, which he's done. And also, if they hadn't been brought against him, he wouldn't have had so much personal, so much of his own, freedom, I guess, at stake. Well, that's what it is, isn't it? It is his own personal freedom at stake, because there's a good chance that if he is found guilty of the many crimes this piece of shit has committed, he'll go to jail for the rest of his life. He's not got long on this earth. He's pushing 80. He's way overweight. He's not looking healthy. He's really not long for this world. But at the same time, like, he doesn't want, he'd rather spend that in his crappy little Mar-a-Lago retreat, pissing into a gold bloody toilet, because that's what rich people do. If he abandons the race, he will go to jail. There is no peacefully going to play golf, says Marin 87. That's just what I said. Yeah. So that's the issue here. He's not going to give up because of that very reason. But at the same time, because he has stirred up the crazies, and it doesn't take, 70 million people voted for him. And if, let's say, a tiny, tiny percentage of them feel aggrieved, that's a crazy person with a grudge, the crazy person who wants vengeance, a crazy person who, isn't happy with Trump. And the only way that they can see of stopping him isn't by voting, because they know that's going to be no good, because the Supreme Court has given the president powers beyond belief. Like, the president in America is now above the law, which is crazy. Candidate registrations are closed for the presidency, so his name will remain on the ticket even if Vance took over. So he thinks he will lose. He can't change that. That's true. That's true. It may be a harmless attempt to prove Trump sent from God, therefore immortal claim. No, Nick, I don't think it was. Why? Like, why would they, in this situation, give people ideas? And yeah. Did you see Putin said after Ukraine, Britain is next? Well, I thought he'd already done Britain with Brexit and everything, but I didn't see that. But yeah, we've got Ms. Spock. They won't send him to jail. He'll go under house arrest. You might be right. He's rich. He's very rich. He's super rich. He's stupidly rich. Michael, rich people don't go to jail, generally speaking. I mean, look at Jeffrey Epstein. He got away with it, like, for years. Like, he was a felon. He was a convicted felon. He'd go to jail, but it was only for like 6 months or something in the noughties. And then, Prince Andrew was going around to see him afterwards, going, "Hey, I heard you went to jail for being a big nonce." Michael says Trump can't drop out. He needs the presidency to avoid having criminal charges for multiple crimes coming his way. As president, he won't be liable. I know. And he can stop all those pesky investigations. I heard times what? Well, Putin ain't having Luton, says Plum Duff. Really? Can't Luton? I mean, really? Could we just give him that, and maybe he'll leave us alone for the rest? Because you know what happens when you capitulate to bullies? They just stop bullying. Frank says, I think he has narcissistic injury, which is why he's losing it. Harris, by pointing out his rallies and people are walking out, has caused narcissistic injury, according to his niece. Yeah, I agree with that, Frank. I mean, he's lost it. I mean, there's an argument that he never had it. Let's face it. But yeah, I do see that. I think Liberals and Greasers from the Time Traveller are going to get more seats. Labour will gain and lose. Tories will pick up a few. Sadly, VFUC will get a few also. Talking about the local elections next year, or in the next general election. Christopher Bowles, Labour aren't going to get as many seats in the next election as they got in this election. It's just not going to happen. Never does. Like, is it the curse of Sports Illustrated? Is that it? Well, they'll always show an athlete on the front cover, and then once they've been on the front cover, they're never as good again. But they only put an athlete on the front cover when they are like at the top of the game. When like, and you don't stay there for very long. You have a peak, and then it's yeah. I think we all do. Brian says, "I don't believe Trump will ever face prison. It can't really happen. Close house arrest at most, living in luxurious comfort. Well, Melania spends all her time with her tennis coach." David, Putin is another mother effer. Sorry for the language, but I have to say it, Graham. No worries, mate. Diz says, and he continued to abuse girls. Yes, he did. Talking about, well, you could be talking about Trump there, who's very good friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And then we could list the people who have grievances against Trump, veterans who feel like they've been belittled by him when he went to Arlington Cemetery the other day and effectively pissed on the graves of the dead servicemen and women who are buried there. You've got the people the little guy. Like, I always think that, like, if I was writing a film and a Trump-like person was the president and there was assassination, a successful assassination, or even, just an attempt, it would be someone like Benny Blanco from the Bronx. It would be someone from the very beginning of his run of terror, someone who he absolutely fucked over back in the early 80s, who has held a grudge for 40 years, and then has their chance to take revenge and uses it. One of the little guys that he stiffed, which is Trump is famous for doing. I mean, he doesn't pay his lawyers for a start, so no one wants to represent him. He doesn't pay contractors working on his building projects. I mean, this guy bankrupted the casino. When we talk about his business acumen, like, if anyone ever says, "Oh, it's a great businessman," say, "How did he bankrupt the casino?" Walk me through that. Walk me through the process of someone bankrupting a casino, because that's mad. That is objectively just like, you can't do that unless you're trying. In fact, it'll be really difficult to do, even if you were trying, like a Brewster's Millions situation. Like, how can you lose money from a casino? The house always wins. But Trump's an idiot. Trump, he had his own airline, like, where he had, like, I don't know, it was just dead tacky. Everything he does is tacky, isn't it? It's always like gold-plated tat. Like some, Middle Eastern dictator from the 1970s. Just no taste whatsoever. Just money, no taste. And no class. Cash, no class. And he had this airline, like Trump Airways or something. Just look into it. And he wanted, like, leather seats on and he wanted, like, a special, like, wider aisle so the trolleys could be gold plated. It was just naff and tacky and awful, and it folded, within months, because he's a terrible, terrible businessman. He just doesn't have a clue how to make money. He knows how to borrow money. He's good at that. He knows how to take money off his dad or the Russians. The felon bankrupted several casinos that is used by certain people to launder dodgy money. That's very true, Stephanie. Christopher says, talking his casino leads me to WrestleMania 4 and 5, leads Vince McMahon, another sex trafficker. Yeah, they're all in it together. Trump would buy an iceberg and transport it to the Sahara, Graham. He would. He's a bit daft. Yes, Graham, Trump is accidentally a billionaire. That really happens in the world. Yes. Well, it's not accidentally. I mean, he was given £300 million back in like the 1970s by his daddy. So, that if he just put that in high rate business accounts, savings accounts, he would be a billionaire by now. But he didn't. He put it into venture after venture, which usually failed. But he was very good at getting people to lend him money. And that's how these billionaires operate. I mean, I'm not going to go too much into it, but to put this very simply, they don't want to pay any tax whatsoever. So they just say they don't earn anything, and their businesses don't earn anything. They just take out loans as collateral against their business or against the building or whatever, and then they spend the loan, and then they defer money from their business to pay off that loan. So there's no tax to be paid because you don't pay tax on loans. So they can loan $12 million off the bank and, have a great time for a month, and then loan another 12 million from another bank. And this is what rich people do. This is why they don't pay any tax on the money that they earn, because they say that they don't earn any money, which is frustrating. But it's not like the millionaires, billionaires who run the country, run the world. Actually, the oligarchs who run the world are going to want to change that anytime soon. Trump has the reverse Midas touch. Trump had better start living in bungalows if he's hocked to the Russians. That's very true, Alan. You might enjoy David K. Johnson's books on Trump. He is fascinating about how he writes about Trump's cash flow. A business built and bankruptcy and debt is surprisingly common, says Skitch. No, I mean, it is to an extent, but like most people who sort of put themselves forward as, I don't know, a great business person, I would just assume that they couldn't possibly bankrupt a casino because that's going a bit far. Do you know what I mean? I know business ventures don't always work, and that's why they are high risk investments for the people who put their money in. But come on, yeah. Anyway, have you seen the rumors around Trump and the racist Nazi Lona? Yes, Lee, I've seen that. Laura Luma. Yeah, she's one of the people who espouses the great replacement theory that all the white people are getting replaced. And now she's hanging out with Trump, and she looks like she's had loads of plastic surgery, and she's gone from looking like Laura Loma to now she looks like the Jigsaw Killer, from the movie Saw. Just check her out, and then think about the little, not the actual guy, but the little thing that cycles in with the mask and the little circles on the spirals on his cheeks. She looks like that. Anyway, Captain says he wanted to install a marble loo on the plane. Didn't realise it would roger his profits by reducing the number of people on the plane. Yeah. Graham, if your loan idea as salary is true, they still legally have to pay fringe benefit taxes. So they are there. So rich people, they are there. This is spelled wrong. Can't use interest-free loans willy-nilly. The fringe benefit taxes, really? Like, do you think these people pay these taxes? I mean, I've got a bridge to sell you if you think that these people pay taxes like anything like what they should. You've got Elon Musk, or Leon Musk, as I like to call him these days, saying, I've paid $1 billion in tax, but it's like the vast majority of us pay 40% of our salary in some sort of tax, and he's paying like 1% and go, look how generous I am. I gave 1% of my money to the government. Yay. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. If Harris does win, fingers crossed tight, will she make every effort to change gun laws in the US? Thank you very much for that, Ivan. I'm going to say no. Some of you have been watching this channel for a while will probably know I wrote my final year dissertation at university. I studied politics and history at Manchester, and I did my final year dissertation on American gun law, gun policy. And I started off all idealistic, like they can ban alcohol. Not just ban alcohol, change the constitution to like amend it to say like no one can have alcohol except for all the people that can have alcohol, like priests, rabbis, certain medical professionals. But yeah, and all that did was make a lot of money for a lot of very bad people, like Al Capone. And then they changed the constitution again to get rid of that amendment because he realised it was silly. I thought, well, if they can do that, then they can ban handguns, can't they? This is when assault rifles were banned. This is back in 1999, 2000. This is in the wake of the Columbine massacre in the summer of 1999. And one of the things that shocked me when I started looking into it was just how many high school shootings there had been before Columbine. A lot of people think that Columbine was like the first. There weren't. There were loads before then where children were killed. And then by the end of my you write it. I didn't write it for a year, but you do your research and everything. And the more I looked into it, and the more in horror that I saw the rules that they had put in, like things like in America, when you buy a gun, you've got to register your gun, right? But the way you register it is absolutely nuts. You write on a little tiny piece of paper your name and your address, right? And then you get your serial number of the gun. And that goes to a warehouse in either Virginia or West Virginia, one of the two. I always get my Virginias mixed up. Virginia Bottomley, Virginia Wolf. Anyway, it goes to a warehouse where they have millions and millions, over 100 million little chitties of paper with the serial number of the weapon and the name and address of the person who's bought it. And by law in America, it's not allowed to be computerized. They're not allowed to have a computer database with everyone's name and the serial number of the gun they bought and possibly the serial number of the bullets that they bought, maybe, or I don't know how that works, but yeah. No, that doesn't happen. The point is that doesn't happen. It's against the law in America for them to put, for the FBI to put that information on a computer database to make it easily looked up. So what happens instead is, the guy in Virginia gets a phone call from the police in, say, Oregon, and they say, we've got this serial number that we found this firearm. Can you find the owner of it, please? And they're like, okay, I'll be back to you in 5 weeks. Well, they go off and hunt through this ending of Raiders of the Lost Ark style warehouse with all of these chitties of paper in, and they've got to find it by hand, walking around like just the most inefficient system. And that's just one example. I'll give you another example, actually. So in America, if you buy a toy gun for your kid, they got a little toy gun, like a little little toy gun, and something goes wrong with that gun, a manufacturing defect of that toy gun, right? And it accidentally injures your child. So say it's like a little, fires little darts or something, and it takes his brother's eye out with the dart, and it was a manufacturing defect that allowed that to happen. Okay, you can sue the manufacturers of that toy. If your kid chokes on a sweet, you can sue the manufacturer of the sweet. If there's all these different things like that you can sue over. America is incredibly litigious. They love suing people. All right, come here. You're gonna love this, right? If that gun wasn't a toy gun, if that gun was real, and that little kid ran out with his mates to go hunting and saw a magnificent stag, a beautiful animal that doesn't need to be dead, and thought, I know what I'll do, because I'm a fucking psycho, I'm going to shoot that beautiful animal dead. So he lines up his sights, gets ready with his real gun, and he presses the trigger, but there's a manufacturing defect in the gun, and it blows his own face off. You can't, his grieving family cannot sue the gun manufacturer because, you're not going to believe this, they are protected by law in America. You can't sue them, even if their guns fuck up. They're the one industry in America that you cannot sue for the fact that the product is malfunctioning and it resulted in the death or impairment of someone in America. So, but in conclusion, like I say, I started off with high hopes. I started off by saying, well, if they can make alcohol illegal, I'm sure they could do something about, handguns at least. No, they can't. I wrote that 24 years ago and about 1 million dead Americans ago. Nothing's changed. Something's changed. Now gun deaths are the biggest cause of death in America. It's above road accidents. Would you believe it? Biggest cause of injury death in America is guns. So there you go. And they have the most dangerous roads in the world in America. And it's really people say it's because of the big cars. It's not. It's because of the drivers. American drivers are like the worst in the world. They're the most likely to be drunk. They're the most likely to speed. They're the most likely to run a red light. They're the most likely to drive dangerously. And because they don't have roundabouts over there, every intersection is a potential, T-bone. Is it T-bone? Is that what they call it? Every intersection is a potential death trap in America. And it's down to the drivers, apparently. Other countries have big cars and don't have anywhere near the death rate that they have. America is a crazy country, says Marianne87. Anyway, yeah, so the arms manufacturers in America have a ridiculous amount of power over not just the government of America and the judiciary of America and the police force of America, but the soul of America. In the way that there's a bill Bilston poem about this, where it says America is a gun. Like, I always think of like what represents a country as one thing. Well, in England, it'll probably be a cup of tea. In Scotland, maybe a thistle. In Wales, maybe the leek. Maybe, there's something that represents that country. Obviously Italy, I guess you've got pasta. If you go to Fiji, I guess it's cava, which is not the sparkling wine, but it's stuff you drink. It's mildly hallucinogenic social drink, I'd say, that they have in those countries. But yeah, Australia, maybe it'd be a boomerang or something, or a stupid hat. In America, it's a gun. Like, that's what makes Americans feel American, is the fact that they've got a gun. That's what separates them from Canada, which is probably maple syrup. You'll think of Canada, maple syrup. Now, America's a gun. You think of Mexico, you think of, I don't know, enchiladas, piñatas, I don't know, something like the Mexican land of the dead. Brilliant. No, you don't think of that in America, you just think of the gun. And so this is it's what is the soul of the nation. It's what makes people feel American. And it's taken a lot of death and a lot of advertising and a lot of pressure on policymakers to basically give these arms manufacturers a free ride. And I'll tell you this now, and it's a grim thing to say, but if you are minded to buy shares in arms companies, when there is a massacre, every time there's a massacre, buy. What can I say? Your share value will go up because more people will buy guns as a result of a massacre. If children are involved, even better. That's the grim reality of today's America, and Kamala Harris ain't going to do anything about it. Biden's not done anything about it. Obama's did nothing about it. Clinton did nothing about it because they can't. The arms manufacturers are just too powerful. I can't stress to you just how insanely powerful these corporations are. Anyway, so guns and obesity, says Dominic. Oh, other countries have obesity. Tonga's got obesity. Right, okay, I'm going to just lip over to the papers for a moment. I'm a bit late. I'm 3 minutes over my time. But, it's always nice to spend more time with you, I guess. Why can't millionaire Starmer buy their own clothes? Millionaire Starmers? Why can't millionaire Starmers buy... I don't even understand what that means, but apparently someone else buys their clothes for them. And this is usual for rich people. Like, I hate to break this to the male, but like, the richer you are, the more stuff you get for free. So yeah, you get clothes and perfumes and a car and stuff that companies give you in order for you to be seen wearing their stuff or using their stuff. This is very normal. It pisses me off because on their way to the Oscars, you'll have celebrities stepping over homeless people in LA to go into Man's Chinese Theatre or wherever it's being held. Kodak Theatre, it's usually and when they get there, they're given a Gucci goodie bag, right? And it's worth, and it's got stuff inside, like a little goodie bag that goes to everyone who attends the Oscars, and it's worth about $28,000. These people are millionaires, and you're giving them goodie bags worth $28,000 while there are homeless people outside the theatre. Trump targeted again in attempted assassination, which is why I don't think he's ever going to feel safe. And then PM seeks lesson from Italy. I don't think Italy is the best people to be looking at for this. The far-right government of Italy, as 8 more Channel migrants die. Pardon me, I just got a cough. Starmer's wife had £5,000 of clothes paid for by donor. That's in the little the fifth column there. Fifth columnist. Trump targeted. Isn't that interesting though? Like the president of America is shot, and he's not shot at, or he wasn't even shot at actually. I think the Secret Service agent saw the guy in the bushes and shot at him. It wasn't a shot the other way. But it's funny that like it's actually the second story on the Mail. I mean, the big story there is about the Prime Minister's wife's clothes. That's how low down on the priority list an attempted assassination of the potential future president of America is. Trump targeted by gunmen on his own golf course. What a disgrace. Starmer taking fuel help from the disabled. James cleverly slams appalling payment cuts for pensioners with disabilities. Again, bit rich coming from the Tories, as we keep saying, but at the same time, I don't want anyone who is disabled and elderly who needs that money, having that money taken from them. The bar, Labour are setting it too high as far as I'm concerned, and as Uncle Phil keeps saying, it's only going to take one pensioner to die as a result of not turning the heating on, who didn't qualify, only just didn't qualify for this, for the newspapers to make absolute field day of it. And of course, they will. They absolutely will. We've got Davina, How I Found Love in My 50s. Exciting stuff. And then there's a royal peace gesture, 40th messages for Harry. King, Wills, and Kate wish Prince a happy birthday in olive branch move. I don't really care, but okay, whatever. Oh, God, I've gone too far. Sorry about that. The Guardian reporting PM accused of seeking to copy far right on migration. Well, I'll be talking to Italy, won't it? And then London Fashion Week and the Trump assassination attempt. I mean, it's not even on. It's not even on the front cover of the Mirror at all. Like, it's not even mentioned on the front cover. And on the Guardian there, you'll see it's just in this, it's just here, it's like Trump safe after shots. My God. Let's move on. We've got the Star over here. Med for it. They're doing a thing about the temperature again, the weather, because they're obsessed with it. PM sets sights on Italy-style migration deal to tackle small boats crisis. That's not the way to do it. You offer safe routes. It's very simple. Surprise greetings from Kate and Wills. Many happy Harry. Oh, see what they've done there? They've changed the word happy to Harry. Harris maintains post-debate lead over Trump on economy, says poll. Yeah, but the polls haven't really shifted much. I'm sorry to say after that, after the debate. Didn't really shift much after the Democratic National Convention either. Ivan, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. That's very kind of you. Yet billionaire Tories take money off racists, homophobes, and misogynists. Yes, they do. Frank Hester, famously, saying that Diane Abbott makes him want to kill all black people. And they accepted £20 million off him. Yeah, a bit grim. Christopher Bowles, imagine 40 years of your mere existence was as spare in case something went wrong with William. Well, it's not 40 years, is it? Because William had kids about 10 years ago. When did he have his first kid? About 10 years ago. Patrick McCarthy says, Rishi's clothes came from a school uniform supplier. That's very true. Johan, they'll make a field day even of it if the pensioner received the payment. They'll even invent a story if need to. Johan, I mean, it's grim to say people die every winter of the cold. Pensioners die every winter of the cold, and someone's going to, probably quite a few people are going to die this winter. And I feel like, well, if Labour don't put the bar high enough, they deserve the blame for this. Because whereas I'm quite adamant that I don't want millionaires, and I was corrected the other day. Someone said it wasn't 1 in 5 millionaires who are pensioners are... Sorry, 1 in 5 pensioners are millionaires. It's actually 1 in 4. 1 in 4 pensioners are millionaires. I don't want them getting the 300 quid, but I'd quite like the people who are further down on the pecking order in terms of their, financial situation. I would like them to get even more money. Thank you. And I don't want anyone to go without. Christopher Bowles, yeah, but the music of Marilyn Manson is what they made them do it. Talking about the Columbine massacre. That was who's blamed at the time. Putin is like an evil Mr. Burns. Enough money to live forever. Yeah. Well, Rupert Murdoch, on which Mr. Burns was based, wasn't he? I never asked Rishi where his clothes came from. Did he get free stuff as well? Probably, yes. Yeah, they all do. Like, all rich people get free stuff. They just get free stuff all the time. The more famous and rich you are, the less you actually have to spend on shit, because you just get given it. You want a nice TV? Get an amazing 7.1 surround sound speaker system. It's yours, mate. Don't worry about it. Like, if I was rich, this camera that I'm talking to you through, Sony would have given it to me. They would have been like, "Hey, you go, Graham, you top bloke. Tell everyone how great Sony is." It's just one of those things. The richer you are, the more free shit you get. The poorer you are, the less free shit you get. And if you do get any free shit, people complain about it and go, "Oh, why are we giving money to poor people?" I'm like, I'd much rather give Money to poor people who need it to survive and need it to live and thrive and get educated and contribute to society, then give it to rich people who do not need the free stuff because they're rich. They can buy it. It's why it annoys me when you see a travel show on TV, and I know I've got a personal, I've got skin in the game in this issue, but when you see a travel show on TV and the person doing it is a millionaire, went to private school, and I'm like, but you can afford to travel. Why didn't you let someone who's working class do that job? And they might be excited about going to all these places that they never thought they'd have the money to go to. Anyway, one last super chat before I go. I'm glad I kept on yammering for another 10 minutes because I got another super chat. Yay. Another 2 super chats. Die, thank you. Can't understand why Labour have set the winter payment threshold so low. I have no idea, mate. It's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. What can I say? Nova, is the real Harry Father conspiracy an okay theory to believe? It's one of 2 that I hold to. No, I don't think he's. I think he's Prince Charles's. Labour messed up, played it wrong, sadly. Yes, Alvone, I agree with you. Starmer messed up by not registering, says Yvonne. Yep. The biggest picture is, this is also from Yvonne, we should stop judging people how they dress so they might not get clothes from their political friends. Yeah. Like Supertansky, I think the cutoff is too low for the fuel allowance, needs to be higher. Absolutely agree, Jane. And Christopher Bowles, the Euro 2021 final was the best illustration of the gifts our politicians get. So many MPs took free tickets from industries their APPGs were supposed to look out. Well, yeah, exactly. Exactamundo, dude. And then, and Ivan says, thank you very much for the super chat, Ivan. I will break my silence on the winter fuel payments. It shouldn't be age related. Many people under pensioners' age are vulnerable too. Yeah, good point. Very good point, Ivan. Especially if people are disabled and they can't work full time, or they can't work at all because of their disability. I think people deserve more help, more support on those lower rungs. And I don't mind it being mean-cested. That's not my problem with this policy. My problem is, as Jane has said, and Supertansky said, and a lot of you have said, the bar is too low. It needs to be raised. We can't be having people who are getting like just over £1,000 a month, and they're having to spend a big chunk of that on their heating, being left out from this. It's wrong. Get yourself a fashionable new pre-loved hoodie. Pre-loved hoodie from a charity shop, Graham. Oh, thanks very much, Darian. That's very kind of you. Oh, wow. And Veg Pie, thank you very much for reminding me about next week. Hey, Graham, when will you announce the details of the ship and mitre? Electoral dysfunction on the Sunday in St. George's Hall too. Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much for the reminder, Veg Pie, and for the super chat. So I'm going to just put this into the links. So it is there. This is the link for tickets. Our tickets are free for everyone. Double free if you're one of my patrons or you're a member of the channel. But yeah, if you click on this link. So what it is, next week, Monday, next week, in 1 week's time, we've taken over the Ship and Mitre in Liverpool on Dale Street, which is just 9 minutes walk from Lime Street Station. And we're going to be doing a talk there. It's going to be me, Femi, Mike Galsworthy, and Peter Core of the National Rejoin March. Obviously, we're having the National Rejoin March a week on Saturday, so it'll be a good run into that. And the headline name of it is Politics Social Presents Do All Roads Lead Back to Europe? So it's going to be talking about different ways of getting back into Europe and our different opinions on what's feasible and what isn't, and what the government can do and what the government can't do and what the government should do. So if you'd like to join us, it's at 7:30 at the Ship and Mitre on Dale Street in Liverpool. Tickets are strictly limited. I think there's about 40 left. So it's not a big venue by any stretch of the imagination. So if you do want a ticket for it, follow that link. It's a donation link, so you can give what you want. But if you want a ticket for free, you can have a ticket for free. But it's just one per person, please. Don't be going, I'll have 10 free tickets and then don't turn up. That wouldn't be very nice. Anyway, just 1 second because I've got a cough. Oh, brilliant. Right. For those of you who can't make it to the talk, We will be streaming it live from... Sorry, my eyes are watering now. We will be streaming it live from the Ship and Mitre. So if you like to watch it, you can do that on this channel. God, I'm just watching the feed. I'm just watching the feed of me on YouTube, like coughing my head off. Anyway, so let's see the budget as additional measures to offset the WFP concerns. And Nick says, in much the same way that the proposed youth mobility scheme shouldn't be age limit, it's discriminatory and divisive. Yeah, true. And Sean says, we live in a cold climate. The North should have a reduction anyway. That's very true. Well, do you know what would really help if we weren't dependent on foreign gas and oil for our energy? We could just be reliant on our own energy, electricity that we make from our own sun, because we've got our own sun here, and our own wind. Anyway, take it easy. Graham says, Patrick, you too, mate. You know what? If it just do it for half an hour, I can probably go for half an hour without coughing. But if I go for 47 minutes, then this is what happens. So yeah, please come down if you're in Liverpool anyway for the Labour the Labour conference. I've got my ticket here. I better cover the thing, but there you go. There's me. Yeah. I'm going to be there at the Labour conference, being a gobby scouser, which is what I do best. And yeah, if you want to come along on Wednesday, on Monday next, so it's a week today, 7:30, Ship and Mitre upstairs. And we've got the bar for the rest of the night, so you want to just hang out at the Ship and Mitre, that's fine. Some of us might be going to Dawn Butler's Jamaica party afterwards, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so thank you very much for the super chats. It's really kind of you all. And thanks so much, Veg Pie, for reminding me to promote next week's talk with me and Femi and Mike and Peter. And until next time, I'll say give us a like on the way out, you fantastic people. I'll be back this evening at 8 o'clock for Stateside. We'll be talking about, I guess, the assassination attempt on Trump, amongst other things. I didn't mention what he said about Taylor Swift. We'll be talking about that. So hopefully I'll see you there. And if not, Uncle Phil is here tomorrow. And I'll be in the chat at 9:30 for the next Morning Brew. And until then, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.